Chicago house. There he is. He said, look, I've been there. That's what the natives say. Missionary Eugene Thomas was there for 42 years. He's retired now, back in Ohio. There's his phone number. He said, yeah, I had met pygmies that knew about these creatures. He said, they live in the swamp. He said he met 2 pygmies that killed one and ate it back in 1959. There are just so many stories about Mokele Mbembe from that swamp region over there. Different countries around that region have different languages, of course, and they call it by different names, but they all describe this creature right here. Marcelina Agnaga saw one. He's a biologist from the Congo. He said it looked like that. Dr. Mark Miller went there, came back. He said, boy, the pygmies over there just nearly killed us. They got us, captured us. We thought they were going to kill us. Fascinating story from World Explorer magazine, wexclub.com, W-E-X for worldexplorerclub.com. They're right down here in Chicago. That's where their headquarters are, near Chicago. Some guys from Los Angeles went to the swamp and said, look, we saw one, but our cameras malfunctioned because of the high humidity. It ruined everything. It's not like you just drive in, take a picture, and drive home, okay? It's just not the same, right? It's a little tough conditions over there. They said the creature was brownish in color. The skin appeared slick and smooth. It had a long neck and a small head. Herman saw it, Kia saw it, that's his wife, and on several occasions, they heard it making a tremendous roar. Many other members of the expedition, and this includes government officials from the Congo, saw it and heard it. There's an article from the Boston newspaper about a group getting ready to go over and look for the half-god, half-beast, Mokele Mbembe creature. This is in 1999. There have been about 30 expeditions into that swamp looking for this critter right here. Many of those that come back say, man, all the natives over there know about it. It's like, you know, it's not a big deal. There have been so many expeditions, 30 some that I know of, plus maybe more. The natives claim that they live in caves along the side of the rivers, and they're more active at night. Very difficult to spot these critters, and they stay underwater. So not only at night, but underwater at night, which makes it even tougher to see. Roy Mackal wrote a book about it. We sell the book. We're finally able to get some from the Netherlands. If you want to get his book, it's like 25 bucks, but about a living dinosaur. Now, Roy Mackal believes in evolution. After going over to the swamp, he came back. He went over there twice, spent $250,000. He came back and said, folks, there are some dinosaurs still alive. And then he said, it's amazing they survived for 70 million years. Well, we're working on Roy about that one. It's not millions of years ago. William Gibbons from Canada has been over there 4 times now. He and I wrote this book together, Claws, Jaws, and Dinosaurs. William contacted me and said, Verhoeven, I've been there 4 times. I said, William, I've been collecting stuff for 30 years on cryptozoology. Let's write a little book together. So we did for kind of junior high, lower high school age, about dinosaurs still alive. William went back to Cameroon, and he said, he had a guide named Pierre Sima. He said, we were the first white man to actually penetrate the forest and swamps bordering the Bumba River. Our informants, mostly all of them Baka pygmies, with the exception of one elderly Muslim Cameroonian, are perfectly familiar with all the known and unknown animals of the forest and swamps. They do not regard the Mokele Mbembe as being an unusual animal. They do fear the creature because of its ferocity in attacking hippos, elephants, and even crocodiles. The animal appears to be completely intolerant of any other large creature that shares the river and controls large stretches of the river, particularly those areas where its food supply is present. I was on 100 Huntley Street, a program from Toronto, Canada one time. I'm sitting there getting ready to go on the air, and there's another guy, a missionary, who's going to go on and talk for a few minutes about his mission work. And he was looking through Roy Mackal's book, and he saw that picture. He said, Brother Hovind, my wife and I were missionaries in Kenya, Africa for 15 years. We saw one of those animals. He said, but the plates on the back were bigger. There have been about 5 reported sightings that I've been able to find in the last 100 years of people seeing what apparently are Stegosaurus-type creatures, plates on the back. In South America, there's a jungle called the Amazon jungle that is absolutely gigantic. There have been many reports of creatures in the Amazon that are pretty strange. For instance, in 1907, Colonel Fawcett from the British Army was sent down there to mark the border between a couple of countries. He was known as a meticulous recorder of facts, one of those no-nonsense kind of guys. He reported a creature that he believed to be a Diplodocus. The people down in that valley said, oh yeah, that's animals out there in the river. Don't bother them, they're not friendly. Colonel Fawcett's son drew a picture of the footprints that they saw. Appears to be a 3-toed dinosaur of some kind. In 1883, this article came out in Scientific American before they became very careful about filtering out anything that might support creation. Now they're very careful about filtering that stuff out. You know, if it might support creation, it'll never make the Scientific American paper. But this article said, the Brazilian minister at La Paz, Bolivia, had remitted to the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Rio photographs of drawings of an extraordinary saurian dinosaur killed on the Beni, that's the name of the river, after receiving 36 balls. They shot it 36 times. By order of the President of Bolivia, the dried body, which had been preserved in Asuncion, was sent to La Paz. It was 12 meters long, 39 feet, with snout to point of the tail. Describes the whole thing in Scientific American. The neck is long, the belly large, and almost dragging the ground. Professor Gilvetti, who examined the beast, thinks it is not a monster, but a member of a rare or almost lost species, as the Indians in some parts of Bolivia use small earthen vases of identical shape and probably copied from nature. Here's a picture of a giant snake that actually swallowed a human. There's some big snakes down there, folks. They cut it open, there's a guy inside of it. Colonel Fawcett said he shot and killed a 62-foot anaconda snake. The natives that were with him said, "Colonel, you should see the big ones." This ain't a big one. Officials from the Brazil-Colombia Boundary Commission in 1933 killed a 98-foot snake with 2-foot diameter. They killed it with a machine gun. It weighed 2 tons. 4 men were unable to lift its head. The cook from a hotel in the Amazon jungle said he saw a 100-foot snake the military hunted down and killed because it ate 2 of their soldiers. The snake's head was 5 feet long. Reuters News Service reported this creature back a few years ago, a 130-foot long serpent, the diameter about 15 feet, crashed through the jungle. The soccer team was terrified that saw it go by. 1948, this picture was taken showing a giant snake carcass floating down the river. The people said it might have been 150 feet long. Nobody poked it to see if it was alive. We'll just let that one go on by. See, many Americans cannot comprehend how big the Amazon River is. I had one of my former students who was a missionary down there for a while, right there in central Brazil. He said, "Brother Hovind, where we live, the Amazon is only 9 miles wide." Can you imagine a river 9 miles wide? That's a big river. There have been many creatures seen in that South American region. We can talk more about that later. There's a famous lake called Loch Ness. How many's ever heard of Loch Ness before? There's a big map on the table down here under all the junk about Loch Ness. It's a map from Scotland if you want to read it. Loch Ness is about 24 miles long, a mile to a mile and a half wide, and up to 900 feet deep in places. Big lake. In 1933, they blasted with dynamite a groove into the side of the mountains to put a road along the edge of Loch Ness. Before that time, if you wanted to see the lake, you had to climb over the mountains because the road was on the wrong side of the mountains. Very sparsely populated up in that region of Scotland, northern Scotland. Well, in 1933, they put a roadbed in there, and then there began to be many sightings of the Loch Ness Monster. There were sightings before, but mostly local people, and the news didn't get out much, and if it did, people thought, well, they've been drinking too much, you know, something up there in the hills of Scotland. Well, this author said there have been 9,000 reported sightings of the Loch Ness Monster. The first year they put the road in, there were 52 separate sightings. He said there have been 9,000 reported sightings. Today it's over 11,000. Many are certainly fakes and frauds, I understand, okay? But the fact that there's a few fakes and frauds does not discredit all 11,000. Sir Peter Scott said, "I believe in the Loch Ness Monster." He's a member of Parliament. He said, "I believe in it." Most of them say it's a plesiosaurus. Plesiosaur is this kind. There are about, I'm going to say 5 or maybe 6 different kinds of swimming dinosaurs that are similar to this. The plesiosaur, the elasmosaur, a couple other unusual ones. Well, this author said there's one